Hi, I'm Barnett, and I write books for kids. Chapter books, graphic novels, but mostly picture books. You know, I wanted to write from the time I was a kid. I always wanted to be an author. My mom never put the picture books that I loved so much away. They were always part of my life. So even when I started reading novels, the picture books were always there on the shelf. And then eventually I started working with kids, helping kids who were having trouble learning to read, and I would pull my old picture books, my most beloved books, off the shelf to share with those kids. I think it was sometime in college that I connected that the kind of writing I wanted to do was kids' books. I was working at a summer camp, and I would just make up stories and tell them to my campers out loud. And that joy of sharing a story with a group of kids, it was the best. And I learned then how great kids are at listening to stories, interpreting stories. I think that they are the smartest, best audience a writer can have. I really like to switch up my approach from book to book. I don't ever want to repeat myself or write the same book twice. I guess there are some common themes. I think I try to write funny books. Sometimes I try not to write funny books, but I always end up putting jokes in there. Other than that though, I think I like ambiguity, mystery, and just always try to write books that respect kids and take them seriously as an audience. But I like to really switch it up. So sometimes I write picture books, sometimes I write just straight prose, heavily illustrated chapter books, and graphic novels too. But you know, even we're sitting now in a replica of a massive writing project that I took on early in my life when I was 24 years old. A friend of mine, John Korn, and I made a time travel store. And this store was the front for a tutoring center. So in the back there was a room where kids could come and get free help with their homework and their writing. And the front was the store filled with products that we made up. Products for time travelers, products from all times and for all times. And so we have robot toupees and robot milk. We have caveman candy. And every one of these products needed its own label, its own product copy. And we made hundreds of them. And really the goal was to create a fictional space in real life. How could we extend a story, make a story that you could walk through, a book that you could live in? And I think that approach is still my approach to writing books. I want to make books that kids live in, that they walk around in, that they feel totally immersed in. I want them to be so engulfed by the experience of reading a book that it becomes real life for them. So I think that when I look at writing a picture book manuscript, writing words for picture books, it's a very specific art. A good sentence is not necessarily a good sentence in a picture book. You always have to be conscious of the way that you are putting that text in conversation with pictures. And when you're writing a picture book manuscript, a lot of the time you're writing words for pictures that don't exist yet. it's sort of the art of finishing an unfinished thing. You're just making a scaffolding for an illustrator to come in and lay their images on top of. I always try to pay attention to page turns and pacing to make sure that not too much is happening on a page or a spread, 2 pages laid next to each other. Try to make my books funny and surprising, and I like to involve the reader, sometimes explicitly, but always implicitly. I want a book to be a conversation. I don't want it to be a lecture. I don't want it to have a message that is beaming at kids, but I want meaning to be created in conversation with a kid. And so I think my books always have gaps, ambiguities, places where kids can enter the story and make it their own. I have been working on a graphic novel series called The First Cat in Space. The first book is called The First Cat in Space Ate Pizza. And that grew out of a project I started over the pandemic. At the beginning of the COVID pandemic, I started reading books out loud on Instagram, just every day to anybody who wanted to watch. And as we were coming up on the first Saturday, I realized like we had just spent 5 days, all of us, not leaving our homes. So now the weekend was coming, but what did it mean to be the weekend? Kids hadn't been at school, their parents hadn't been at work. What did a Saturday even mean? And for me, when I was a kid, Saturdays meant Saturday morning cartoons. I loved to watch cartoons early in the morning. It's the only thing that I would get out of bed for. So I called up my friend Sean Harris and I said, like, what if we made a cartoon live? And he said, okay. And Sean is a great illustrator. He made all these pictures and I wrote a story and we did voices. He would move his camera across the pictures and he would move the pictures under the camera and we would sing songs and do voices and play sound effects. And over the course of 12 weeks, we made a science fiction epic called The First Cat in Space Ate Pizza. That became the basis for a book that is now 3 books, and I'm working on the 3rd one right now. In fact, I should probably cut this off, and I should work on it right now because we are a little bit late with the 3rd book. Yeah. This is a hard one because I don't tend to plan that far in advance. It's one of the scariest things about this job is you never know where the next idea is going to come from or if it's going to come at all. You just kind of always hope that you're struck by ideas that you're excited about. And so far, for about 20 years, I have been. But after I'm finished with The First Cat in Space Book 3, I don't know what my next book will be. That's very exciting. It's going to be a chance to do something new, but it's a little strange. It's a little strange to have a job where it feels like you're always driving toward this cliff. And luckily, the cliff is sort of moving away from you too, but I have no idea what I'm going to do next.